5 years ago, I cut ties with my sister. Gemma is my biological sister, and unfortunately, she betrayed me in the worst way possible by having an affair with my husband, and under my own roof, no less. Back then, I had to travel a lot for work, so I was not at home quite often. My parents live in Idaho, so I came all the way here for work after I was done with college. And since I was already well settled in a big city, my parents sent Gemma along when it was time for her to start college. She's 9 years younger than me and 12 years younger than my ex-husband. So honestly, I thought that he would think of her the same way that I did. But I was obviously mistaken, because one day, when I came back home from a trip to surprise my ex-husband, I caught them together red-handed. It was a huge heartbreak for me, because I had always been very supportive of Gemma. My parents are actually kind to send her away to study because she was quite young. At least I had left when I was in my 20s. But she was really eager to explore the world, so I encouraged my parents to send her here. I told them that I would take care of her, that she could visit every weekend so she wouldn't even be lonely. And even though most of the time she would just stay on campus, sometimes she would come and visit us and we would have a great time. I even gave her money occasionally whenever she exhausted whatever pocket money our parents sent. So clearly, I was quite supportive of her, and I never even thought that something like this could happen to me. And with my ex-husband, it was another story altogether. He was a co-worker in the first company that I joined here, and we became friends quite quickly because I was new to the city back then, and he introduced me to all his friends and took me to new places. Within 6 months, we were dating, and after 2 years, we decided to get married. I had really loved him, and I thought that he would never betray me, but even he did. So in one go, I lost the love of my life and my favorite family member, Gemma. It was an incredibly hard time for me, and thankfully, at least back then, my parents were supportive of me, and they were really upset with Gemma, so they cut her off for a while. But then they couldn't do that on a permanent basis, because at the end of the day, she was still in college. She was in her 3rd year of college at the time, and she still needed money for her college tuition, which obviously my ex-husband could not provide. So after a few months, she practically begged our parents to forgive her and even tried to reach out to me, but I didn't respond. My parents did, though, and they explained the whole thing to me, and even though I wanted to be mad at them, I couldn't, because at this point in time, I had lost so much already. I didn't want to lose them too. So I just told them that it was fine, even though I didn't really feel that way. Anyway, after I found out that the two of them had been having an affair behind my back, I kicked my husband out of the house, and I filed for a divorce, which took a couple of months to be finalized. But when it was done, and I realized that I was never going to see these people again, it really hurt. It's been 5 years since then, and I've never spoken to either of them after that. I don't even have anything to say to them, and the only people that I have been in touch with are my parents. I haven't even kept in touch with the rest of my family because, to be honest, I know that all of them are aware of what happened to me, and I just can't bear the shame of it. I know that it's not my fault, but even then, it's just a very difficult cross to bear. Gemma and my ex are still together. They got married 2 years ago and moved back to Idaho. I do go back home to visit my parents, and I know that they're in touch with Gemma. And they have told me several times that they wish that things could have worked out in literally any other way, but they have to accept their kids how they are. So I've tried to make my peace with the situation so far, but recently, what my parents asked of me, that was just impossible and extremely insulting. Here's the deal. Gemma is pregnant. She announced it a couple of weeks ago, and recently They decided to throw a party to celebrate her pregnancy announcement. And it was very shocking because I even received an invitation to that in the mail. And obviously, I decided not to go. I didn't even bother RSVPing to decline because they should have known better. And I was seething about it. But then later, my parents told me that it happened to be their idea. They also told me that they wanted me to accept the invitation and show up for Gemma. Because now she was going to be a mother and start a new chapter of her life. So it was important for us to accept the fact that we were one family, that we were one unit, and put all our past differences aside. I was literally shocked at what they were asking of me because this was not like we had fought over some petty little thing like a doll or whatever, like when we were kids. This was a huge thing that had happened to me. Gemma and my ex had ruined my life back then, and I'm never going to forget or forgive any of that. So for my parents to tell me that I should forget about all of it and show up at her pregnancy announcement party, it was literally insane for me to even hear it. I was on a phone call with them when we were having this discussion, and I literally told them that I was not going to do that. I told them that they were being ridiculous for even expecting me to say yes to something like this because they made a fool out of me in front of my entire family. And that was the reason I hadn't shown up for any family events in the past couple of years, because I knew that they would be there. And I just couldn't stand the knowledge that they were together now after doing what they did to me. And at that point in time, while I was telling them why this was totally impossible and a ridiculous expectation to have from me, my parents were really irritated, and they told me that this was the least that I could do for them because clearly I couldn't give them a grandchild. And boy, that really stung me because my struggles with infertility have been something that has just added to my misery in the past few years. My parents know for a fact that before I found out that my husband had been cheating on me with Gemma, we had been trying for a baby for almost a year. But it just wouldn't happen. And after the divorce for the past year, I have been trying to get pregnant through IVF with anonymous donors and have undergone 3 rounds of it already with no luck. It's been quite frustrating because the doctors really have no idea what is leading to all of this. And it's been making me miserable because I really want a baby. I've always wanted one. I know that I'll be a good mother, and the fact that I can't have that for myself, it just makes me feel like Gemma has taken everything that should have come to me. I know that it's irrational, but it's impossible to not resent her right now. And on top of that, that comment that my parents made, that since Gemma is giving them the first grandchild of the family, I should just put everything in the past and show up for all of them and at least make it seem like I've forgiven them to maintain the peace of the family. It just did something to me. I was really hurt by it, so I decided to disconnect the phone call almost immediately, since it was quite disrespectful of them. And then I blocked them because I did not want anything to do with him at this point in time. But since all of that did not make me feel as good as I thought it would, I decided to reach out to my ex years after everything that had happened. I finally unblocked him on social media because I was not sure about his number anymore. Then I texted him and told him that I hoped that he was finally happy after ruining my life, and now he and Gemma had taken away everything that was supposed to be mine, and everyone was celebrating it as if it was even worth celebrating. I told him that I hate the two of them and that I hope they feel every bit as miserable as I've been feeling for the past 5 years. And then without thinking, I sent that text, but now I regret it because they're about to have a baby. And regardless of everything that's happened, I don't want to be the kind of person that wishes ill on a baby. Because let's be real, the baby's not at fault here. And I won't lie, I feel really terrible about what I said because I think that it was totally unnecessary. After so many years, I should have just let it go. And even after whatever my parents said, I shouldn't have taken my anger and frustration out on him because it's clear they don't care and it's not worth it. Most importantly, though, I just feel like the things that I said make it seem like I'm wishing on the baby, and there is no way for me to take it back. So I feel really guilty about that, and I feel like I should apologize. It's been 48 hours since I sent that message, and I know that he saw it, but obviously he's not replied to it. So I still have the opportunity to make it right and apologize, but I'm not sure if I should, because after everything that's happened, it will be really very strange for me to apologize to him. Anyway, AITA for telling my ex-husband and my sister that I hope they're miserable now that they're pregnant. Edit. I didn't mention it in the original post because I didn't really think that it was relevant, but I guess I can see why other people thought that I should have spoken about it. So just to be clear, my sister was 18 when she moved away from home. So legally, she was an adult. I was 29 at the time and my husband was 32. And I think by the time they started the affair, she must have been around 19. So yeah, it was all very creepy. But unfortunately, it wasn't illegal. Otherwise, I definitely would have reported him. But she was not a minor, so there's not much I could have done about it. She's almost 25 now because she was 20 when I found out. And my husband's almost 40, so now nobody finds it weird or disgusting anymore. But well, let's not forget how it started. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for all the comments. It really means a lot that so many people have been so supportive of me, especially right now when my own parents are not willing to be supportive of me. I think this is all that I can count on. Anyway, it's been 3 days since I sent him that message and I decided not to apologize. Because in my heart, I know what I really meant, and I know that just me saying and wishing that they were miserable is not actually gonna make it happen. And of course, I know for a fact that I don't wish anything ill for the baby. But whatever it is, I don't have to apologize for any of this. They are the ones who invited me to that event first, knowing whatever had happened, knowing that I would never show up, so they should have known better. They shouldn't have just blindly followed whatever my parents were telling them and used their own brains. But whatever the message has been sent, and I can't take that back. So all I can do is just hope for the best and pray that they don't take it further. I sent it in a moment of anger, and that's something that they should understand. I think if they speak to my parents about it, they'll know exactly why I sent it, because I sent it on the same day that I had that last disagreement with my parents. And even if they misunderstand it, even if they end up thinking that I'm just being petty for no reason, it still doesn't make a difference. I don't care about what they think of me. I don't care about them at all anymore because I think I'm finally done. In the past 5 years, I've taken great care never to reach out to these people, never to say anything negative like what I just did. But I think that's what I really needed to do to get it out of my system. So to be very honest, I know it will sound mean, but I feel much better after sending him that message because I know that he's seen it. And in all probability, so has Gemma. And they know I hate them. I think that's what I really needed. I think I just needed to be petty for this one time to let it all out. And now that that's done, I can't imagine why I was so worked up about all of this in the first place. I feel much lighter. I feel like I haven't held back. And even in spite of what they did to me, I was dignified for 5 years until they tried to bring me back into their life once again. And that's when I finally lost it. I think this is allowed, and I think this is justified. Update 2. So I don't even know where to begin right now. Something very weird is happening to me, and I don't know what to say about it. It's been a week since I last posted here, and like I said, I did not apologize to my ex. I thought that by now everybody would be up in arms about everything that I had said in that message because I assumed that my ex must have shown that message to Gemma. And she must have shown that message to my parents. And even though they are blocked, I thought that they must be looking for ways to get in touch with me so they can demand that I apologize. It is felt like this would be the natural course of things. And I was mentally prepared for all of that, but I'm not prepared for what's happening right now. It has caught me completely off guard because I did not think that my ex-husband was going to try and get in touch with me. I blocked him a couple of days back once again because I knew that I was not going to apologize. So I didn't think there was any point in keeping him unblocked. But then, for the past 2 days, he's been trying to text me from a different number and I was going to block that. But honestly, curiosity got the better of me because I really want to know what he had to say. However, until now, he's not said anything worthwhile. He's just been texting me, saying that he really needs to talk to me, that he has read that text and he thinks that we should get on the phone call or at least meet in person so we can sort things out. I don't know what he's thinking because clearly there's nothing for us to sort out anymore. We don't have anything to do with each other, so I don't know why he's doing this. He's tried to call me several times, but I haven't been answering because honestly, I don't know what I'll say to him. I'm in a very weird position right now. I don't know what to do. I don't know what he's trying to do either. And on top of that, I've started to suspect that he might not have said anything about the message to Gemma or my parents because otherwise they definitely would have been ready to attack me. But since that has not happened, I'm beginning to think that he's kept it all to himself. I don't know what his game is. I don't even know what to do about the situation right now, but I know for a fact that it's not good. I honestly don't know what to say right now. If anybody has any word of advice for me, please let me know. I wouldn't say that I'm freaking out or anything, but I know for a fact that something strange is happening and I might not be affected by it. But I just have this sixth sense telling me that Gemma and the rest of my family might be. Update 3. Okay, so 4 days ago I made my post here, speaking about the weird behavior on my ex-husband's end. I was curious about it for a while, but since everybody in the comments said that I should just block him, that's what I did. In fact, that's what I had been planning on doing anyway, because I spoke about it with a couple of my friends and they told me that this was not a good sign. So instead of getting caught up in any of this out of curiosity, I should just nip it in the bud. So 2 days ago, I blocked him and I thought that that would be the end of it. And I was completely ready to move on with my life. But then in the morning today, I received the biggest shock that I have had in the past 5 years. I think this was even more shocking than finding out that Gemma and my ex had been having an affair. My ex-husband ended up showing up at my door this morning, and I literally had no idea what to say or do. I was caught completely off guard, and to be honest, I made an impulsive decision to open the door only because I wanted to find out why exactly he was here. I haven't moved out of my old house because honestly, regardless of the memories, this is in a pretty nice neighborhood and it's a convenient place to be in since it's close to my office. So I never thought about moving away, and so it was very easy for him to find me. Anyway, I was about to leave for work when he started ringing the doorbell, and when I saw it was him, like I said, I just made the impulsive decision of opening the door to him. And even now, I don't know if it was a good move or a bad one. Because after I opened the door, he didn't even say anything. He just hugged me and started crying. And that was even more weird because this was not what I was expecting. I didn't hug him back or anything. I was honestly just in shock about what was going on. And I wasn't even able to process it until he let me go and took his place on the couch and started talking. He started telling me that he was here because he wanted to make up for everything that had happened in the past, and that he was very disappointed in himself and has been the case with him for the past 5 years. He told me that he's tried his best to make his peace with the fact that I'm gone and he was the one who screwed up and that I'm never coming back and he's going to have to be with Gemma now. But apparently he was never able to really come to terms with it. He started telling me that for the past 5 years, he has always tried to make himself believe that Gemma is the one for him. But clearly, that's not the case. And now, since they're pregnant, he's been even more freaked out than usual. And when he received that message from me, he just knew that this was meant to be. He told me that he had come all the way here, not only to talk to me, but to try and convince me to give him a second chance at our marriage. I found that very strange because the contents of that message were not such that would make him want to come back to me all of a sudden. I had literally told him I was never going to forgive or forget any of this, and I wished nothing but misery for him. I mean, it's really bizarre that he read that message and he thought that I was going to take him back readily, especially after everything that's happened. Yes, I'm still upset about it, but that doesn't mean that I'm not over him. I got over him the day I saw him with Gemma, and I'm never going to be able to get that image out of my head anytime soon. So for him to show up at my house, expecting me to take him back, thinking that this was actually going to work, it's just strange. I figured things out pretty quickly. I knew for a fact that he was only here because he was freaked out about the baby, and even at 40, he was just not ready. Some people are just not built for marriages or fatherhood. That's completely fine, unless they choose to commit to those things anyway, without being sure of themselves and then ruin other people's lives. Just like he ruined my life, he was on his way to ruin Gemma's as well. Because even while she was pregnant, he had decided to come all the way here. And I actually pitied the two of them, because even after having everything that they could have possibly asked for, he still went out of his way to jeopardize it. Once a cheater, always a cheater. He just proved it true. Anyway, after hearing him out, I told him that there was no way in hell I was going to give him a chance. Not after everything that had happened, and I told him I had only opened the door and let him in out of curiosity because I wanted to know what he was here to say. And now that I had heard what he had to say, I had no interest in hearing him out anymore. I told him he had to leave this place immediately, that there was no way we were getting back together, and this was the biggest mistake he had made in his life, coming back to me, believing that I will take him back just like that. Because now I was definitely going to let my parents know, and they would tell Gemma for sure, and then he would have to deal with the consequences of all of it. I thought that he would beg me not to share any of that with my parents, but he didn't. He only said he did whatever he thought was right, and that in the past 5 years, he has tried to move on from me endlessly. But it has never worked, and so he thought this one last shot would be worth it. And if I had decided I did not want to get back with him, I must have had my reasons, so he's going to respect that. And he's not going to pressure me into anything that I don't want. And before leaving, he told me he was always going to wait for me, which I think is a bunch of BS. But anyway, that's what he said. And he told me that I was free to tell whoever I wanted about everything that had happened here, since I would only be doing him a favor. I found the whole thing inexplicably bizarre. But anyway, I knew I had to tell my parents. But I couldn't do it without any proof, so I decided to send them the security footage from the cameras outside my house, showing him entering and leaving. Then I crafted a message telling them everything that had happened, all the things he had said, and I made it very clear that nothing had happened between the two of us. Because I knew that that would be their first guess, so I made it clear to them that we didn't get up to anything. And I was not trying to get him in trouble on purpose. I was just being honest with them. But then it's on them whether they want to believe me or not. At the end of the day, I was only doing my duty because even though I had been betrayed, I didn't think anybody else should go through the same thing once again, especially with a baby involved. It would have been very easy for me to just keep it all to myself. But then I wouldn't have been able to deal with the guilt of it because I'm not like Gemma, unfortunately. So I did whatever I thought was appropriate, and now It's up to them what they want to do about the situation. I'm honestly just happy that I was able to stand my ground. I did what was right, even in such a difficult situation. I don't mean to toot my own horn or anything, but I think I dealt with the situation pretty well. So anyway, let's see what happens now that it's done. Update 4. So it's been a couple of days since I mentioned everything to my parents. I don't know what they actually believe, but I know for a fact that Gemma and my ex are on their way to get divorced now. I can't say I didn't see it coming. I pretty much knew that this was going to happen when I sent my parents all of that, but for it to happen so soon was something unexpected. I thought Gemma was probably going to give him a chance since she was pregnant and they were probably going to try counseling or something. But I guess they might have been having problems anyway, or they probably think that something must have happened the day that he came over here to visit me. Regardless of what they actually believe, I know they're getting a divorce. I'm not in touch with the rest of my family even now, so it's actually my parents who told me. They thanked me a couple of days back after I sent them all of that, and they told me that thanks to all of this, the evidence stacked against my ex, Gemma had filed for a divorce. And I knew that they didn't actually mean to thank me. They were probably just being sarcastic. But whatever it is, I think I've done my duty. And now, whatever happens, it's on them. It's sad that this is how things ended for all of them. My ex literally broke apart one whole family because he just couldn't make up his mind about what he wants in his life. And it's really pathetic. But it's fine, because I know that karma always hits back. And I know that that's exactly what's going to happen with everyone. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.